please rise for the invocation? Is that what it is?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council,
Yes, sir.
thank you for inviting me here to pray with you this morning. And so I am Deacon Joel Livingston. I was ordained about 30 years ago in Metuchen, New Jersey, but I'm happy to be with you in paradise right now.
Amen.
I'm a minister, a deacon at St. Leo, the Great Church, a Roman Catholic church that's located on Beaumont Road, not too far from here. And so it is my pleasure to be here and to be able, as I said, to pray with you this morning. So let us pray. Almighty God, source of infinite love, wisdom, and justice, we stand before you this morning humbled by the responsibility entrusted upon us as your servants and servants of the people of Bonita Springs. Like Solomon in the Bible, we pray that you will gift us with discerning hearts, capable of governing with wisdom and compassion. Guide us to be selfless and impartial in our deliberations, always prioritizing the common good above personal interests. We acknowledge the complexity of the challenges we face, especially the competing needs within our community. Grant us the power to discern the true needs of your people, to rise above biases and find creative solutions that are just and equitable. Embolden us with the courage to stand firm against injustice. Give us the fortitude to remain firm in our commitment to solve even the most difficult problems. Strengthen our unwavering commitment to ensuring peace, safety, and a pleasant environment for all residents of Bonita Springs. And may your divine light illuminate our path, and may our actions reflect your unwavering love and justice. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge allegiance on 3. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Clerk Sheffield, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bogas.
Here.
Councilmember Purdon.
Here.
Councilmember Carr.
Here.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Here.
Councilmember Corey.
Here.
Councilmember Fullick. Here. Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Here.
Okay, we approve of the agenda. I move we approve the agenda. Any
Second.
second? We got a second? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bogas.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdon.
Aye.
Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Aye.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye.
Councilmember Fullick.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Aye.
Okay, Mayor, welcome. You're all here. You are the people, we are the people, we are the government. You and me, we the people. So I'm glad to see you all here. You all have a chance to speak. And we're going to move along here. Public comment on anything on the agenda. Please come forward.
Morning, Mayor and Council. Mike Gibson for the record. Here to speak on 12A, the electric charging in downtown. I know it says to look at the Riverside Park area, but I was wondering if it might be a better idea to look at the city parking lot on Ragsdale and Feltz to try to drive more people over to that lot as it's underutilized. In addition to whenever the city has events, a lot of the parking around the park gets shut down, so it might be a good idea to have it over there. So, thanks, have a great day.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Just to clarify, that's the site for the bioreactor, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have Mr. Peter Simmons III. Petey, is Petey here? There he is. You could hardly recognize him when he was a kid. They used to call him Petey, and now we call him Mister. It's so good to see you.
It's great to be back. It's great to stand in front of all you today. And
such a blessing to be able to represent such a great city, Bonita Springs, at the national level. So very humble to be in front of all you today, and go blue. So brought my rings here. Got our national championship ring, Rose Bowl ring, Big Ten championship ring, then college football playoff ring. So yeah.
I know we're not supposed to, but.
Jesse,
You wanna get a
Jesse
picture?
has something for you here.
Yeah, oh, and a picture? Somebody has to have a camera.
Do we have a handheld? A handheld mic?
Believe it or not, when I first met Petey, I was bigger than Petey. Pretty hard to believe now, but it's come a long way, and I'm very proud to give you the certificate of recognition. Chief Peterson was the third in recognition of your outstanding achievement as a defensive lineman in the University of Michigan's National Championship football.
Council, let's go.
Oh, sit down.
No. Are you kidding? Council doesn't want to get in the picture?
Mom and Dad? Please.
How you doing? Long time no see.
I
How you
know.
doing? Good. Thank you very much.
Wonderful to see you. Yes, you look wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Your dad sends
All right, very good. Yeah,
and
thanks,
Suzanne.
Peter.
Thank you very much. Great to see you.
Now he's better than you.
It's okay, it's okay. Somebody must.
Okay, now Fred Forbes, you want to introduce this?
Yeah, we have with us today the Vice Chairman of the Lee County Republican Executive Committee, and she's going to read a resolution that they passed by 98% of the people that were there voted in favor of this. Tara?
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Chair, and council members. Thank you very much for having me here today, and members of this wonderful community. As said, my name is Tara Jenner. I'm the Vice Chair of the Republican Party of Lee County, and we did pass a resolution that was adopted on April 16th of 2024, and I would like to read that to you and actually encourage you to consider adopting the same or similar resolution here for the wonderful city of Bonita Springs. Resolution declaring Hamas a terrorist organization, supporting Israel's rights as a sovereign nation to defend its borders and citizens, and condemning anti-Semitism. Whereas Israel is a sovereign nation reestablished in 1948 by international agreement as a refuge and sanctuary for Jewish people after millennia of persecution, and thereby has the authority and responsibility to defend its borders and citizens from hostile attacks, no different than the United States of America has a right to defend her borders and citizens from invasion. Whereas on October 8th, 1997, Hamas was designated a foreign terrorist organization by the United States Department of State's Bureau of Counterterrorism. Whereas on October 7th, 1923, Hamas launched an offensive and unprovoked attack against the nation of Israel, resulting in 1,139 dead from the attacks, with 373 military personnel and 766 civilian among those numbers. Whereas these attacks took place in areas of civilian population, including drone and hang glider paratroop assault at a music festival, culminating with the taking of 247 civilians and military personnel hostage, removing them from Israel and dragging them back to Gaza, with hostages still being held by Hamas. Whereas Israel has the right to respond to threats to its existence and the intentional attacks made against it, and to actively seek out and recover hostages taken by Hamas held in Gaza. Whereas, when there is a misuse of protected buildings and symbols, non-combatant edifices and symbols forfeit their protected status. Attacks on them may be permitted and are justifiable, so long as the rules of proportionality and precaution are followed, which reasonably includes the elimination of Hamas, which has declared its goal to be the total annihilation of Israel. Whereas Israel has an obligation to minimize collateral damage to non-combatants, but still has the right to protect its borders and citizens. Whereas it is acknowledged and tragic that non-combatant residents of Gaza, used as human shields by Hamas, have lost their lives as a direct result of the initial unprovoked attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023. And whereas anti-Semitism is taking place in U.S. institutions of higher learning, businesses, houses of worship, schools, and even government agencies, and even by elected government representatives at some local, state, and federal levels, as seen by a significant uptick in anti-Semitism, including physical violence, verbal threats of imminent harm or death, vandalism, and rallies featuring support for terrorism, with a focus on organizations that call for the genocide and annihilation of all Jews. Resolved, the Lee County Republican Party condemns Hamas as a terrorist organization, denounces its acts of violence perpetrated against the sovereign state of Israel, the citizens of Israel, and the non-combatants in Gaza used as human shields, and further rebukes Hamas's call for worldwide Semitism, the annihilation of Jews, the total destruction of the Jewish nation of Israel, and affirms that anti-Semitic speech and or actions will be met with staunch condemnation, and that Jews who are facing anti-Semitism will be actively defended and supported. Please note that we're not stifling free speech, but we don't have to sit back silently when free speech should be stood against. There is a difference between protected speech and unprotected speech. And when it goes beyond protected speech, it is a crime. And even when it is protected speech, it doesn't mean we need to stay silent. Thank you very much. And as a side note, I am a candidate running for the Lee County Republican State Committee woman in the upcoming August race. And I look forward to having you vet me as a candidate in that position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pardon?
Did you want to make a motion?
Wait a minute. Go ahead, Fred. You have nothing to say, you're done. Come on. Let's move along.
Yeah, I was not going to do it now. I was going to do it later at the end of the meeting.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Okay, we're on here, number 9A. Mike Sheffield.
This is the first reading of a zoning ordinance of the City of Bonita Springs, Florida, amending ordinance 10-02 for a residential plan development to develop up to 10 detached villas, boat docks, and other accessory uses, and to add 5 deviations located at 27495-511 Big Bend Road and 27523 Big Bend Road, Bonita Springs, Florida, 34134, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Sheffield. Mr. Mayor, As usual for first reading, staff and the applicant weren't planning on making presentations, but I understand there's a number of members of the public who have filled out comment cards who would like to speak on this item at the first public hearing. I understand that there is one representative, an attorney who spoke at the zoning board, who represents a number of the individuals, who is asking for additional time, more than the 4 minutes, so I'll leave that to the council. One recommendation that me and Mr. Sheffield pointed out is if he has clients here, that they could cede their time to him to give him time to make his presentation.
I prefer that the individuals use their own time. You have to swear these people in?
Yeah, I'll swear, this is a quasi judicial hearing, so any testimony provided here has to be competent, substantial in nature, and sworn. If you intend on speaking, even if you are here and you don't think you're going to speak, but you might feel the urge at some point, please stand and be sworn in.
Derek, can I ask,
Just 1 second. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, including you, Mr. Dolmer? Okay.
before we start this process, is this a deviation from the standard operating procedure in first reading? Is this something that we generally would do during first reading? Is this set us apart on any of the other projects that we've done?
No, it's, I mean, public, when it's your rules of procedure provide that generally there's no public comment at first readings. However, state law requires that when there's a change of listed uses, such as a plan development, that there are at least 2 public hearings, so there's an opportunity to speak twice for the public. So in this case, you're completely in line with past practice.
Derek,
Okay.
is it
And I-
is it
Wait.
permissible?
Order. Public comment on the agenda item 9A. Please come forward.
We have 4 registered speakers.
Excuse me, there was a request for the lawyer to receive time if the other members conceded, and I believe that that should be okay.
Well, you have your own opinion. I'm the mayor. I get to run this place.
Or we
Get
could
to
take a
run these
vote.
meetings.
I would like to make a motion that they're allowed to secede their time.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Councilmember Purdon,
Aye.
Councilmember Carr,
Aye.
Mayor Steinmeier,
Nay.
Councilmember Corey,
Aye.
Councilmember Fullick,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes,
Aye.
Councilmember Bogas.
Mr. Mayor, before we
passes.
start in this, can I ask a question of Derek, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Fred.
Real quickly. What is recommended on council members, period, dialoguing with public comment on this item?
So everyone is, if you've had any ex parte communications, you've all completed your ex parte forms and filed them with the clerk's office. Are you asking about dialogue at this point? What I would recommend for purposes of making the meeting go smoothly is that you hold all your questions until the end of the presentations. And at that point, if you have any questions, ask through the mayor so that the relevant person can come up. So to move forward, I'm assuming, like to ask if all 4 of the speakers who filled out cards would stand and indicate whether they're ceding their time to Mr. Lewis.
Where are they?
And then the other 2 speakers, I'm assuming, are okay.
3.
So that would be 12 minutes of time. And then, because it is a public hearing, I would say that,
Well, we have one also from Mr. Lewis, so
Okay,
that's
that would count too.
16 minutes.
did Mr. Forgy fill one out as well? Okay.
We have a slip from
That would give a total of 20 minutes.
Virginia Clifford, Wolfgang Oster, Max Fogery, and Douglas Lewis. So that,
And the owner will have a chance to
did he say
respond?
16 minutes?
Well, what they're asking to do is they're accumulating their time so that they can give a presentation, have their planner and Mr. Lewis raise their arguments. But essentially, it's the same rules as normal public input. They'll provide their comments, provide their presentation, at the conclusion of which you can ask them for questions, you can ask staff. We also have Mr. Spain, our outside land use counsel, he's available on
I'm
the
just
phone.
saying, built into first reading after, so they'll get 16 minutes.
20.
Okay, so they're gonna get 20 minutes, they're gonna go at them. then the other side obviously gets to go to respond to those items.
They have an opportunity to respond as the applicant, yes. and
That's
so does
okay.
staff.
So that's my question. I just want to make sure everybody's getting a fair opportunity to speak on it. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Lewis.
Good morning, members of City Council. For the record, my name is Doug Lewis. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Thompson Lewis at 745 12th Avenue South in Naples, Florida. I represent Mr. Wolfgang Oster and Somax, the owner of a single-family home at 27381 Oak Knoll Drive, located directly opposite, on the opposite side of the river. Somax was entitled to and received notice from the city of this rezone application today. Somax LLC owns fee simple title to 27381 Oak Knoll Drive, and Mr. Wolfgang Oster is a member and authorized agent for Somax. Somax fee simple interest will be adversely affected by the granting of this application. The rear yard and rear view of the Somax property is directly opposite, so if you can visualize it, directly opposite from the project being considered today, and the noise, the density of the docks and the water traffic and the project being considered today will harm my client's property value. Additionally, the owner of the Somax parcel is an avid boater. He owns a boat, is on the river almost daily, very frequently, and the placement and the sheer number of the docks, if you look at the configuration, the docks actually point into the water, so the boats will be backing out into the river, and you've got 10 different owners, 10 different boats there. So that the sheer density, intensity on that will impair his ability and other members of the community, their ability to safely navigate the river. The risk is compounded when you consider the location of this proposed, what they're calling multi-slip residential marina is the term the applicants are using in their documents. And when you consider that, it's at a very narrow point in the river, and it's near the Bonita Bay ingress and egress. So you have a lot of boat traffic, a lot of congestion in there. It's already a problem, and it's only going to compound the problem. This is also going to be compounded because, as I met with staff on Monday and a member of City Council, this is the first time I'm aware of where you have essentially a they're calling a multi-slip residential marina, essentially land that's owned by a condominium association that will have as limited common element a dock assigned to each of the owners. I'm not aware of anything like this on the Imperial River, and staff was unable to point. Now, maybe today or this week or between the next hearing they can give an example, but this is new to me in a single family area. This walks and talks like a multi-family view. So when you incentivize that, when you open the door and kind of allow your code to be manipulated that way, you're going to see economic incentives, particularly when you look at the age of the homes in that area and the opportunity for infill redevelopment. So as such, my client's an aggrieved and adversely affected resident that has legal standing in this matter and who will suffer special injury if this application gets approved. My client opposes the proposed amendment to the Riverbend PD, and we renew today and assert the procedural objections and substantive objections that we've raised to date with both staff and your city attorney. By way of overview, we will ask this morning that the application be denied, and there's three bases for that. The first basis is that we believe that the evidence is absolutely irrefutably clear based on your code language that the application is not legally sufficient. In fact, we'll cite section 4295-6D, which says that if the application isn't sufficient, it shouldn't even go to the planning or the zoning board, and it shouldn't go to the city council. And I'll talk about the reasons why this conceptual site plan is deficient. The second reason is that it doesn't comply with the comprehensive plan and the land development code. And each of you have, we've got over here near the clerk, we have binders that you can study this week, next week, between now and the next hearing. I've given a copy of the binder to the applicant as well. And I'd like to submit that and ask the city council to accept those as formally part of the record that you can consider as you review the application. We think it will be helpful to you. It'll provide additional information. I think more is always good. When I talked to staff on Monday, I think they agreed that more is better than less, and clarity is better than lack of clarity. So I think that'll help you as you evaluate and make your own decision. So I'd like to introduce that in the record, just get confirmation that those will be submitted as part of the record. In addition, I do have a report by Mr. Max Forgy. He's a well-respected AICP planner. He has over 31 years of experience as an AICP planner. He's been in good standing during that time period. He's proffered expert witness testimony throughout the state of Florida. And we would like today to proffer him as an expert witness. To expedite time, I would ask both the applicant and the city if we can stipulate his CV. Curriculum Vital is there. I've given a copy of his CV to the applicant, but I'd like to proffer him as well as a witness. So I'd like to get those two questions answered. One, to accept those documents into the record, and also to, okay. So it's been
I'll clarify that later.
okay, great, thank you. Before Mr. Forgy gives his report, I just have 3 preliminary items I'd like to address. The first is my client respectfully asked that deviations 1, so they have different deviations. These are where they're asking you to do something that your code doesn't otherwise allow them to do. So deviation 1, 4, 5, and 6, we're asking that those be denied on the basis, number 1, that they're not justified, other than the idea to get more intensity on a site that's overbuilt. Create incompatibilities. They create incompatibilities with the surrounding area. You can see that in an aerial. This is very different from what you see around it. So it clearly, irrefutably creates incompatibilities. It reduces the LDCs, the land development codes, health, safety, welfare protections that you as City Council have built into your code to protect residents by more than doubling the allowable boat traffic and impairing navigation on the Imperial River. And it also reduces the LDC protections for on-site and off-site mangrove preserves. The second point I wanted to make is that there are, draw your attention, there are neighborhood petitions that are in your packet. And there are many neighbors are opposing this project for the reasons that are stated, but those include the incompatibility of what we're doing here. Very different. Again, staff on Monday could not point to a single example of where you have a condominium common element that has riparian rights that's allocating dockage usage. So you have basically landlocked parcels or landlocked lots that have no water access that are being given access this way. So you can imagine how this can ripple through your community. So there is a petition there in opposition. And the third part is that the application is not sufficient. And I think that's a threshold question before we even hear it today. Your code under section 4295 6AD requires that the application be sufficient. And the master concept plan, it all starts there because that really explains what are you doing and how does this site work and where are the lots that they're going to sell off to these 10 different owners. Your master complex, your LDC requires that the concept plan, it says if the property will be divided into lots or parcels, and it will because they've already testified in the neighborhood meeting that they're going to be selling these off to different owners. So there will be a division. Included in the packet, there's an attorney affidavit. It's in the binder. It's from a partner of mine. He's been practicing law in Florida for well over 30 years. We have done significant projects throughout the state of Florida. And really it comes down to there's 3 ways you can achieve that goal. You can do a land condo, you can do a regular condo, or you can do a plat. That's really where you're at. Based on the site plan, his opinion, and my opinion, frankly, expert opinion, is that the only way this project works is to do a condo. And that's really it. And they've already said that. They've already said in their documents that they're going to have that riparian area will be owned as a condominium common element, essentially. So, but they have to show in their site plan, they have to show the term in your code is must indicate the general location, configuration, and approximate dimensions of the lots or parcels. Well, where are those? I mean, where are those? I sat down with staff on Monday. I said, where are the lots? Where is the key that says these are the lots? These are the uses that are going to happen on these lots. Where are they? It requires you to identify the location, configuration, dimensions of the lots. They're not on your, this is a threshold issue. Staff should have caught this before it came here. And I think we would have solved a lot of the issues if we had a better concept plan. Lot coverage and also the minimum setbacks for principal structures. Now they have setbacks between buildings, but they don't show setbacks on the lots. And maybe it's a 0 lot line setback. Maybe it's, but say it. Put it on the concept plan. Say it. It's not there. Also, the lots or parcels must be key to the list of proposed uses. Also, it states that in addition, you have to show the number of habitable stories, not just the height, but the number of habitable stories. I can't find it. You can look at it, but your code says it must contain the number of habitable stories. It's just not on there. So I think this is not ready for prime time. I would say we should table this item, let them come back, let them disclose what they're really going to do, and let's see if it can work. So those are my threshold questions. I'd like to turn my time over to my expert now to make his presentation.
Thank you. Max Forgy, doing business as Forgy Planning, 236 Southeast 45th Street, Cape Coral, Florida, member in good standing in the American Institute of Certified Planners for 31 years. I have provided you with a report and with my qualifications, and I think I can explain the salient points of the argument against in a very few minutes. On page 2, relating to comprehensive plan consistency, this is inconsistent with policy 118 of the Bonita Springs Comprehensive Plan and the definition of medium density residential. And I have the language there in the report. If you, on page 3, and this is the core of the argument that I'd like to make. These are the lots that aren't lots. Lot is defined in section 9-27 as a parcel of land considered as a unit. Lots are polygons with integrity, interiors surrounded by perimeters. In addition to the definition cited, there are no fewer than 14 other definitions in your code that include the word lot. These include references to frontage lots, flag lots, lot depth. These terms are crucial to good planning practice and are in common use within the Bonita Springs Land Development Code. In this instance, the applicant proposes a new concept, a detached villa, which consists of single-family dwelling units which are sited without reference to conventional lots, which carry with them the essential metrics for land use regulations, setbacks, buffers, rights-of-way, and easement. And these are not illustrated on the site plan, the master concept plan. Because detached villa is not defined in the Bonita Springs Land Development Code, it artfully displaces the intent of all those definitions that contain the word lot. The parent tract is a lot by Bonita Springs Code standards. It is a unified parcel of land. The applicant has a clear entitlement to build single-family, duplex, and townhomes. There are limitations to what densities and intensities of use are permitted in each of those types. Specifically, the applicant cannot build docks except as ancillary to single-family or duplex waterfront units. The applicant has options. They can plat the parent tract as a land condominium, as council referred to, making the footprint for each house site a lot and making the remaining interstices, including the waterfront, the roadways, and the common lands, which are not the single-family dwellings, a distinct lot. The problem here is obvious. The approach would create one single waterfront property with no future single-family unit, plus as many as 11 single-family units, none of which would be on the water, and therefore not available for docks. Under these circumstances, there would be no docks available at all. It is clear that the applicant is selling access to the Imperial River using a stratagem that would place a shared dock facility attached to the parent tract in an effort to lure buyers and plump land pricing. To achieve this goal, the applicant cleverly proposes to evade the concept of subdivided lots embodied in the city code in order to achieve high density or higher density and achieve the highest number of docks on the property. Regarding the configuration and dimension of lots, section 4-295(a)(6)b of the Land Development Code states, where the subject property will be divided into lots or parcels, the plan must indicate the general location, configuration, and approximate dimensions of the lots or parcels, including out parcels, as well as lot coverage. It doesn't really do that. The master concept plan shows footprints, but no lots or parcels, and specifically does not illustrate the, quote, approximate dimensions of the lots or the, quote, minimum proposed setbacks for principal structures. The master concept plan is therefore facially incomplete and should not be approved as proposed, at least not at this time. According to section 7-358(a)(1), regarding docks and piers, no more than one boat mooring dock with 2 wet slips is permitted per single-family lot, and no more than 2 boat mooring docks with up to 4 wet slips is permitted per 2-family unit on a single lot. If a parcel abuts both a natural body and an artificial water body, 1 slip may be allowed for each water body. The clear intent of the section is to limit docks, piers, and other water-dependent construction and the noise and traffic that accompany them. I recommend denial based upon the following 5 findings of fact. 1, the proposed master concept plan, Exhibit B, does not subdivide the property into lots as defined in section 9-27 and does not identify approximate dimensions of the lots or the minimum proposed setback for principal structures. 2, because the master concept plan does not divide the property into lots or parcels, there are no waterfront residential lots eligible for the introduction of individual or shared docks. 3, detached villa is not defined in the Land Development Code. It appears to be a clever attempt to bypass the subdivision of the property into residential lots which illustrate setbacks, buffers, and other regulatory metrics. 4, the applicant has a bountiful entitlement on the site and can build single-family and duplex units with docks. 5, the application lacks sufficient evidence to demonstrate compatibility with the surrounding area or the overall city planning objectives. Based upon the above findings, the testimony which will be presented by the client and neighbors, I recommend denial of this application. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Forgy. I find it illuminating, and I've always kind of pondered as I've looked at this, why the need to create this new product type, detached villa. And I think that's the question you need to kind of ask yourself. Why are we doing gymnastics around the code when we think about what is a detached villa? Why are we doing this? And I want to just leave you with a couple of thoughts as you contemplate this application. The first is, why isn't the applicant just building this as a standard platted single-family lot project? Or if they're intent on creating a new category that's not in the Land Development Code, why didn't they ask for a deviation? You have a provision in your code that says single-family lots have these entitlements. This isn't, by their own admission, this is not a single-family lot. This is a detached villa lot. That's not in your code. There's no entitlement to dockage for a detached villa lot expressly in your code. You can ask for a deviation for that, I guess. But then you have to figure out as a city council, do we want to have this riparian water area in a single family area owned as a condominium common element to allow landlocked parcels, landlocked lots that have no water access, to get access to the water, to increase density on the water. And the second is, when considering the age of the homes in the area, it's my opinion, and look within yourselves. Look at the incentives here. This is pure logic. You are going to incentivize if this project gets approved. People are going to look at that and say, well, here's the economic incentive. I can take this property and I can now get all of this water access. So the question is, when considering the age of the homes and the risk of infill, think about the precedent that's being set when you approve a multi-slip, by their own admission, this is the term they're using, a multi-slip residential marina on the site. Thank you for your time.
Very good timing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Lewis made two requests, which is one to admit the binders into evidence, and the second was to, along with the report of Mr. Forgy, also to accept Mr. Forgy as an expert witness. Before making a decision on the second item, Mr. Forgy as an expert witness, I would give the opportunity to either the applicant or the staff to cross-examine him or raise any issues that they may have with his expert testimony. And they may not choose to do that. I don't see any. So, is there any rebuttal or anything from staff? Do you want to hear from staff or the applicant on any of these specific items, or do you want to wait till second hearing?
Second hearing.
And what about the acceptance of the binders or the?
Make an exception.
Okay.
Accept.
So I see a motion, a second.
Question with that, just from a standpoint of the city here. Okay, so if we say he's an expert, right, and he is agreeing that this shouldn't take place, they haven't even had first reading, and we say this expert is the expert that we are agreeing to as a city, does that put us in any type of liability situation there?
All you're doing in both instances is allowing the evidence to come in and establishing the credentials of the expert. At the end of the day, when you hear this on second reading, the standard that you are held to is to have your decision whether to approve or deny based on competent, substantial evidence and expert opinions presented at the hearing. So it could even be a situation where the overwhelming evidence is in support of one determination. But as long as your decision is based on some expert or substantial evidence, that will be sustained. So I don't want you to feel that, just allowing anything creates any kind of obligation. All it does is allow the neighbors to present their evidence and get it into the record.
Yes, Nigel, please.
Derek, question. So by accepting his credentials, are we certifying that he's an expert witness, or are we just accepting the information that he's providing about his?
You would be accepting the information and accepting his credentials as an expert planner. You wouldn't be necessarily making a determination on the evidence that he presented. And I see that Mr. Davies is here, but before we do that, you have a motion and a second on the floor to accept both.
Okay, there was a motion made by Councilmember Carr and seconded by Mayor Steinmeier. Councilmember Carr,
Yes.
Mayor Steinmeier,
And the motion was again to accept the book.
the binder, submitted binder as evidence and
The report and Mr. Forgey's credentials.
Also, okay, that's different than the original motion. Yes.
Councilmember Corey,
No.
Councilmember Fullick,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes. Aye. Councilmember Bogas. No. Councilmember Purdon.
No.
Motion carries 4-3.
Did the applicant have something to add?
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Good morning, Mayor and Council. Noel Davies on behalf of the applicant. I will be very brief because we would like to respect your standard operating procedure at first reading. We do plan to give you our full presentation at second reading. That will include any rebuttal and any cross-examination with respect to Mr. Forgey. I do not object to those documents coming into the record. I do not object to Mr. Forgy as a planner, but that doesn't mean that I agree with his opinion, and I would reserve the right to cross-examine him at second reading. For the record, I do object to all of the statements of Mr. Forgy. I see that they've brought a court reporter here today, so I'm obligated on behalf of my client to address you and to get my objection on the record to the statements of the planner, and I also disagree with the argument from Mr. Lewis. Let the record reflect as well, please, that I was handed a binder at 8:59 this morning, 1 minute before today's proceedings began, which included, it looks like there's 15 tabs of information, well over 100 pages of documents. I don't believe I've seen a number of them before, but I think it includes Mr. Forgy's report. So certainly I've reserved time at second reading to, as I mentioned, cross-examine and provide you with rebuttal information as well as our full presentation. I don't agree with the statements that were made. I would also defer to your staff, who I believe is prepared to give you a full presentation at second reading. Your staff, for the record, has reviewed this application like any other. Your staff is recommending approval, and we agree with positions of staff. We've worked very hard for many, many months, years, I think, on this application, on the specifics, on the specific uses. And here we are at the eve of zoning board hearing, or actually the morning of zoning board hearing, when we found out there was any real objection, or at least represented party. With that, I am happy to answer any questions today, but again, would defer to your normal process. And so with that, we would request to see you again at second reading, and we will be fully prepared to give you our presentation, including that rebuttal information based on the statements made today during public comment. Thank you very much, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Any more public comment?
This would, then you just, a motion to forward to second reading.
Motion to move forward to second reading?
Second. Ben, are you gonna report?
Thank you. Ben Hershenson, and if I speak out of turn, I know the lawyer will say something. I'm just concerned that what we just did is establishing a precedent, and that concerns me a great deal. So I make a statement. Does that mean, it's a rhetorical question, I do not expect an answer. Does that mean that first readings from now on could possibly be a presentation of one half, at least of one half of a position or an opinion? And what does that do to future applicants? And I'm just simply concerned about it. And I just wanted to say that for the record.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I may, that's kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning of the meeting, but I want to just clarify for the public and people listening. The reason that this was allowed specifically today is because there was a change in the zoning, and due to that intricacy, there has to be 2 statutory meetings, this being one of the 2. So this is not normally how we do it. Ben, I hear what you're saying, and for people who are watching that know that this isn't normally how it goes, that is specifically why. So we aren't trying to set any precedent today. The only precedent set is if it were a similar situation to this, but this isn't the standard operating procedure, but that is why. So if you're watching and you're wondering, that's why.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Actually, we've done this before, especially when there have been comments. And I believe Derek said by law, if you have public comment, you have to allow for presentation of sorts. So it's, especially if the situation's controversial. Bayview had first reading, second reading, right? When it's, everybody's in agreement, there's no real issue going on, first reading, let's move to the second, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty. But this is a little bit more intense, all right? They have a court reporter, they have brought attorneys in, and so it's only correct and just that they get a chance to present, right? And our staff is fully prepared to counter.
My question, it isn't
if
whether
that's
it's
what
just
you
or not.
want.
It's that they logistically are allowed due to how our zoning is done. So what I'm saying, it's nothing nefarious. They are using and exercising the zoning as it is written, and most that the public see don't have this situation in it, so that's why it's confusing. So I was clarifying for people who may not understand why it seems we are out of order. And I was clarifying to Ben that we aren't changing precedent. So that's all it was.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. I pushed to have this public comment now on the first reading, so there's an opportunity for the applicant and staff to get together and work out some of the details, to bring out these details into the public so they know what's going on. Usually we come to the second reading and boom, we just approve it and it hasn't had any changes. I'm hoping that we can work this out by having this public knowledge of the situation. So that's,
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
I just want to point out, you're all right. You're all absolutely correct. Usually these zoning processes are, they can be 9 months in the making. So there's usually multiple, the reason why things go smoothly at the end is because there's been multiple back and forth between the applicant, neighbors start to call, they ask questions, staff starts to incorporate those issues. I agree, it's always best when we have the concerns that are raised at the first reading so that we have the opportunity to address them by the second one. It just makes the process a lot smoother to do that, so I just want to point that out and then say that you have a motion on the floor, I believe.
Okay, we have a motion. I have a comment.
There's a motion to move to second reading made by Councilmember Carr and seconded by Councilmember Corey.
Okay, I'd like to comment. I have a problem with the health and safety of the flooding in that area, that this would probably increase the flooding at the end of Big Bend Road. Thank you.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Nay.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye.
Councilmember Fullick.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Aye.
Councilmember Bogas.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdon. Aye. Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, folks. Okay, now we get these people. Do we take a break now and let these people leave?
8-minute break till 10.
8 minute break. Thank you.
Don't go. I like having lots of people here.
They're going to miss all the fun.
And we have the pleasure of Neil Armstrong, the Wonder Gardens, to give us a presentation of the future of Bonita. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In keeping with our public-private partnership, we're going to do more of these updates regularly, and this is the first of many to come. But Neil Anderson, Executive Director of the Bonita Springs Wonder Gardens, is going to give us an update on the master plan and probably seek a little bit of direction from Council as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for inviting me and having this as an agenda item, Mayor and Council members. I'm excited to show you the vision of what we look at and what we call renewing the wonder. As you know, we are still recovering from the hurricane, and it was during that time that we looked at and we said, we need to have a plan. We need to have a plan forward, a master plan, a strategic plan. It was something that didn't exist out at the Wonder Gardens. We'd been going, I think, for years from project to project, but not an overall plan. I had an opportunity to work with a couple of consultants when we did the new zoo in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I had asked them to come down, and we had a generous donation from a donor to go ahead and fund the master plan. So we brought down the consultants, and up there we went from a 14-acre zoo to a 43-acre major regional zoo that was accredited for 25 years. So, we started in a very small roadside position, and we became a major regional facility. So anyway, I had the consultants down. We said, this is a great time right after the hurricane. Let's see what we've got here. And they took a look at the site, and we brought a committee together, and we began a look at what would be the new vision of the Wonder Garden. So I know the plan itself is pretty comprehensive because it has a strategic plan with it. That's integrated with it. It is online. I won't go through the whole plan because it is comprehensive, but you can go ahead and take a look at it. I'll go through the highlights of the plan though. So as I mentioned, in the wake of the hurricane, we took this opportunity to say, this is a great time to look at a new vision for the Wonder Gardens. And one of the things that kept coming up as you're talking to visitors out there, and I would keep hearing that is, this is like an oasis of old Florida. And we all know how important that is, but we kept hearing that, and we thought, we wanted to go ahead and put a plan together that kept that feel, that oasis of old Florida, something that was true to what the Wonder Gardens kind of began, and what it is when, like say you leave Old 41 and you go into the Wonder Gardens, and it's like, wow, I can't believe this actually exists here. And so we kind of kept that theme, and we wanted to go and how do we work with the existing facility. And you don't have to be old Florida and be old and kind of run down, right? What we needed is, it needed some polishing, some TLC, but it really needed a plan, and that was something that we needed to go ahead and pull together. So one of the things that we looked at too is, we're going to look at everything from investing in facilities, programs, experiences. You're going to see a strong animal collection plan, a horticulture plan. We're actually going through inventorying. What do we actually have out there on the site? How does it work with the plan? Improvements of the buildings and their historical significance and old Florida legacy. And then we want to bring some unique experiences that we feel only that the Wonder Gardens can go ahead and do. And you'll see some of these programs, plus the enhancement of education programming. As you can see, we want to have new arrival experiences, a new animal care center, and then the highlights with all the different animals that we have. We will continue to have the animal collection be an old Florida collection with a few animals, program animals that might be, from South America as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to this point. So we did an inventory of the site. So this, what you see here is the existing site diagram. We got roughly about 3.5 acres. You know, that was one of the things that we looked at. Okay, how do we go ahead and organize that? The one thing that you will see in this plan, and I'm going to switch over to the new look and feel of what the plan is we use the botanical collection that we have and where it is, and we work with it. So we're working with it. So it isn't where we're going to go ahead and take a site and change the site completely. There may be some changes in the horticultural plan, but for the most part, we have such unique botanical collection out there that we wanted to look at highlighting it. But then you'll also see we wanted to go ahead also to kind of bring things together. You'll see the upper right corner up there. Well, let's see, I'm going to go, let me go back a second here. The upper right corner is, that's where that current administration building is. You'll see next to it up there will be the Animal Care Center. That would be the location, and we would also be looking at moving our horticulture and maintenance over to that area. And I'll show you on some of the plans how that's going to go ahead and work. But what we're trying to do is our service area is move our service area to that corner, and then be able to go ahead and upgrade that whole entrance area. Also, it's important, right now if you go out there, you know, there's so many different pathways in different directions, is to go ahead, let's have a pathway. This is going to be a circulation and land use plan, so we did look at that. And what we need to do, there might be some changes to some pathways, but one of the other things that you'll see is when we incorporate with the landscape there and some of the new experiences, upgrades of the facility and exhibits as well, we're going to go ahead and create some site barriers. So, you know, you have to kind of go as you're walking along and you come around, you turn the corner, it's like, wow. I mean, the 3.5 acres will look much bigger, but you're not seeing, you know, I'm not looking across and I'm not going to see other individuals like multi-layers down there. We want you to go ahead and have that unique experience that you can't wait and you're literally wondering what's around the corner. So we'd like to go ahead and we designed that, and then these are some of the core, you'll see in your master plan book or you see it online. These are kind of the core functions. The visitor amenities are in the red. Kind of the purple over there is our backup services, and then new experiences in the green. Hard to read on this, but I'll just give you, there's about 15 projects, 15 major projects, and I'll just show a few of the projects, but they run from the main entry guest services, the River Otter exhibit, the Animal Care Center, redoing the service zone, staff building, education center, potentially the guest parking lighting plan, perimeter fence in Grandma's house, Gator Hole, a new nature play discovery zone, events building, elevated boardwalk, and the marsh exhibit. Now here's typically, you know, I guess when you look at, and when you do get a chance to look online or in your book that you have, we wanted to change the entry zone area to have that more enhanced. So we will, you know, continue to have the entrance through the main building because just, I mean, the historical significance of that. But you know, when you go in that main building right now, as you come into it, you got the gift shop, you got also office space, and you got a museum. You got too many things going on inside of there. We looked at that and said, you know, and the gift shop does fantastic, but let's go ahead and kind of expand that, make some room in there for an additional gift shop area, and then let's look at the museum. We know how important it is and to have the historical significance of the museum and the history of the site. Well, we looked at right next to the building, there's that small white building they call Grandma's house. And right now it's a storage building. And we thought, why don't we do this? Is why don't we take, because it's been there forever, you know, and it was lived in at one time, is let's take that and let's kind of wrap a outside porch and deck around that, and then do the inside as the museum. So you're seeing part of the history, but we're also using, you know, that particular building than just using it for storage, but it becomes a nice outdoor plaza area as well. That zone is, like I say, just to the right if you'd come out of the main entrance building. This is the Animal Care Center. Now, the Animal Care Center, you know, that's one thing right now. When with the hurricane, we lost the Animal Diet Kitchen, we lost all that support, and also holding area. We know how important it was. You know, it is not if we're going to have a hurricane, but when. And we need to be able to go ahead and safely have our animals in holding areas. So we took into account a lot of things with this Animal Care Center. And the other thing too is, you know, I just want to be clear with this, is the Animal Care Center is only for the animal collection that is there at the gardens. That's it. And one of the reasons being too, if you're looking at becoming accredited by the American Zoo and Aquarium Association, you have to, if you are going to do some rehabbing and different things like that, you have to have a separate facility because you can't cross-contaminate your animal collection. So that's where you see, you know, there'll be a lot of zoos that will either have a separate facility or they just don't get into it. So this we looked at, so when you look at the plan, so it's like a 10-year plan is, what would we look at, and with the collection that we have out there in the future collection, this size really made sense. And then we thought, originally what we did, we had a one-story building is what we looked at doing. But then we thought, okay, we've got to move where the barn is, where you know, that whole area needs to be cleaned up and that needs to be moved out. And then then there's an older area with a maintenance building. All that area needs to be cleaned out as we move the maintenance and horticulture over to the administration building, which is right now. And then we move the administration offices on the upper floor of the Animal Care Center. So that way we can make that whole move, and then we can renovate just to the right as you come out from the entrance. So we'll have that nature play, and we'll have an education area as well. But and then we address all those concerns, because one of the things too is, you know, I know with the risk assessment that was done, we want to address all those particular issues. That is, we're going right now. Right now, we're getting numbers. I've had a contractor out there to take a look at ADA requirements with the existing bathrooms. What do we need to do there? About adding restrooms as well. Even with this building, we're going to look at putting on the corner of this building public restrooms as well. So we would like to have public restrooms in almost most of the corners of the entire building. It's hard to see, but if you look at the functions in here, we have in animal holding areas. So this building's going to be up higher. Obviously, we know where the line was, you know, that came through with Ian. But we'll have an animal holding area that we can bring animals in to secure them for a hurricane. Also, new animals coming in, new diet kitchen, surgery and lab, 2 rooms that we can do those particular things, and services right on site, and then some office space, and then some outdoor holding. But then on one end here, we'll also go ahead and then look at having public restrooms as well. Now there's some, what we call low-hanging fruit. There's some things that we can do. You go through the gardens, you see you got all the cement block walls. If you imagine if you're a little kid, you're in a stroller, you know, the view is the cement block walls. So there's some things that we can go ahead and do is we can go ahead and open those up. There's where the marsh exhibit is, turtle exhibit, we can go ahead and open that up with glass so you can get eye-to-eye viewing. This is, I think, one of my favorite new experiences, and I think the public is going to love this, is putting a canopy tour, elevated boardwalk in a tree house. So what we'd end up doing is starting on the southeast corner where our tortoises are right now, and then that would kind of wrap around, you know, on the side by Old 41 and through the trees and gradually get up to about 20 feet up in the air where the banyan tree is. When you come out from the entrance building, it would be on the backside of the banyan tree. There'd be a tree house. Now this would be all, you know, ADA accessible, two-way traffic on that. But along the way, the neat thing is we'll have some new aviaries, so you're gonna be able to see the birds and things, but also you'll be able to see other animals on what we call animal trails that will follow you along on the canopy tour. So you'll get the experience. It might be a little cotton-top tamarin, a little primate or whatever, and be able to follow you along the way.
I'll give you 5 more minutes here.
Okay.
Tell me how you're gonna pay for all this.
Well,
That'd take more than 5 minutes, huh?
No, you know, I will tell you this, is since the press we've had on this, we've had donors calling. I've got meetings coming up that are interested in some of these major projects. You know, the big thing is that, you know, and likewise up in Green Bay too, is, you know, I mean, you gotta have a plan, a vision, and something that is gonna fit the community. And the old historic Florida and feeling is really, really hit home to a lot of people on this. And we're getting a lot of calls. I'm not as concerned about that. I know we can get this thing done. I know.
We have a beautiful contract.
Yep.
And we're going in the right direction. Yeah, can you wrap it up?
Sure.
One thing, Mayor, just to make sure, is I think there's some specific projects you, in the handout, you actually wanted to make sure you fully were transparent with council, because these are some of the items you're gonna be looking to
Yes.
to receive donations on, so they didn't want to speak out of turn without
So-
being transparent with the council on those.
Yeah, so on that is, you know, kind of as we look at laying out, and we will, you know, like, put together a capital improvement plan, the CIP, you know, that'll lay out those particular projects and how we feel they'll come online. Because that's the key, is with this master plan, is executing it, bringing them online, you know, so that obviously, and it's a sustainable plan. However, the one need we definitely have is the animal care center. I mean, that's, you know, that's really the heart of the operation. And based on the last hurricane we're doing, I can tell you right now, my office is an animal diet kitchen right now. That's where I see it. I mean, and when it comes to a hurricane, you know, trying to find spaces it's gonna be tough. So that is a priority. We also look at the canopy tour. I think it would be exciting change and help catapult some of these other projects. But the other thing I had mentioned before is, you know, we may have a donor that, like this particular project right here, the alligator hole exhibit, underwater viewing of the alligators, alligator snapping turtles, that may like alligators. It may give me a call and say, you know what, I want to see this happen. Now, what I look at doing then is coming back then to council and saying, hey, you know, we have a potential donor that would be interested. So this project, you know, might go ahead and move up, because you never know what, with all these projects, you know, which donor, you know, that really enjoys that particular project and wants to, you know, be part of that. So we have enough, and the thing is, they could be done at different times. It wouldn't matter within the gardens on that. I mean, ultimately, it'd be great if, you know, we had somebody come up and do that, and that could very well happen. We're excited about the plan. I think, you know, as you look at it, you know, I think it gives you a great vision, you know, for what the Wonder Gardens can be. It can be so unique and part of old Florida, and it keeps true to what it was, you know, in the past. And then we enhance and we address, you know, all these building issues out there, we address those issues, you know, plan to move forward. But I can tell you right now, there's a lot of excitement out there.
You had a good season.
Yep, we had a good season as well, you know.
You have a number of attendants this year, or?
We're probably, I'd say probably down close to maybe 18%, somewhere in there, you know, but that's typical right now, what's going on, you know, with,
I mean, how many people went through the
it'd be over 70,000.
70,000 people?
Yeah.
In the last 12 months or so?
Right.
Very good, very good. Keep up the good work, yes.
Mayor, Council, there was one thing I did want to point out, as Neil and his staff start to vet, or he gets prioritization on some of these projects, we'll be working at a staff level to incorporate the priority 1 improvements that are in our facilities report, so that hopefully they're happening simultaneously or they become part of some of these projects. We'll be coming back with a continuing services agreement for our original facilities folks, our consultants, so they can help vet to make sure that we can pull those things off the list as the improvements are made.
Yes, Niall.
Neil, first of all, I wanted to bring this up, and I'll get this to Mike so everybody can have a copy. On April 28th, the News Press, which I actually still get at home on Sundays, there was a great article that was written by a guy named Neil Anderson. It was the most positive piece that's been written about the relationship between the city and the Wonder Gardens that I've seen in 20-plus years. So thank you for that, and I'll make sure everybody gets a copy. Secondly, please don't bring the Wonder Gardens back to what it was back in the day.
No.
We really like it the way it is now, Neil, and it smells a lot better, too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Neil?
Great presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
Consent agenda, I'd like to pull number C, and I'd like to make a motion to approve A, B, and D.
Second.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye.
Councilmember Follick.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Aye.
Councilmember Bogas.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdon. Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Aye. The reason I pulled number C, 11C, we asked for sealed contract, we got bids, sealed bids from 3 people, 3 companies. We took the lowest bid, and then we added on 10% of what the lowest bid was. Why take bids if you're gonna change what you received? So that's my question. And this goes to, I guess, Matt Feeney, whose name's on this
Sure.
project.
I can explain that quite easily.
Please explain it.
So, this is
To everybody, not just me.
Oh, absolutely. This is a mowing contract for dry stormwater ponds, and it has a frequency, a level of frequencies. We always bid, in addition, a flat rate so that we can, should you call us and say, hey, look, you know, there's an area of town that's part of the city's responsibility that needs to be addressed, that's not under a mowing contract, that we have the ability to have a pre-negotiated price. So that is bid into this number. It doesn't have any frequency of occurrence, but it exists as an option for us. So to be able to achieve that type of work, we need to have some dollars to be able to pull the trigger should the need arise. And that's what the contingency number is for. If you're not comfortable with that, we can award the base bid. It doesn't matter to us.
Well, it matters to the taxpayer.
It's not a commitment of expenditure, sir.
It says the
just gives us
contract
some
amount of
flexibility.
63,000 as opposed to the bid of 57,000.
I think for clarification, for efficiencies, it's easier for staff to have that already built into the contract. It doesn't mean we will spend that, it's just the ability to do that should the need arise. But if the council's uncomfortable with that, we would just go through a separate process to have that work done separately, which we would need to do anyway.
I think Mr. Mayor, I think one of the things that they're accounting for is if we get one of these, we get them under contract and we need them somewhere else, and it's not in that area, we don't have to pay extra money to go out for bid again. So inevitably, if we had to use it, we would save money this way.
That's correct. I can give you an example, Mr. Mayor. There's a pond off of Old 41, just north of Buffalo Chips on the right-hand side, and it is impacted in the rainy season quite a bit. It basically holds water, and so you get a significant overgrowth. And so when we can, sometimes it needs more frequency of service when we can access it than the standard bid contract pieces. And so this would allow us the flexibility. But if you're uncomfortable with it, it's...
Can you put the $5,800 contingency amount separate from the contract, which says the contract $63,000, when the bid was $57,000? And how about these other people? Were you going to raise them 10% if you had to get them?
Look, we're bound by the low bid. If you're uncomfortable with the contingency, we can move forward without it. It matters not to us.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the lowest bid plus the contingency.
Second.
Any other comments? My comment is this was a staff decision. It wasn't voted, it wasn't on the budget. I don't know where this $5,800, which is not 10% of $5,700.
Correct, no.
Please clarify.
When we go out for bid, there is an opportunity for us to address the scope of services that we feel is most efficient to bring forward to you all. That's why it's a proposal to you all to decide if you want to include the contingency. There are many contracts that come forward with contingencies that a pre-negotiated price is there so that its ability to draw upon should the need arise. We do that with several contracts as we bring forward. Also, unanticipated cost expenses in projects so you don't have to rebid. To clarify your question, that should one of the other folks have been the low bid, his office would have offered the same opportunity to provide a contingency as well. This is the low bid. We asked for the contingency. It's more efficient to move forward that way.
Contingency be put in the original bid? Maybe these other people put that 10% contingency into their.
We did not, that was not part of the bid scope.
Why
So,
not?
because we didn't include it.
Call the question, there's motion on the floor.
I'm allowed to ask questions, my dear.
Keep going.
It was not part of the bid schedule. We can, in the future, we can do that.
I think it would be more transparent.
And we have done that on other projects. We just didn't on this one.
Okay. So you got that in, put that in the motion that you're gonna put them in the future.
Aren't we actually protecting the taxpayer and the city by limiting our liabilities on additional expenses?
We're attempting to have a pre-negotiated price in the event that something beyond the scope comes up, yes.
There's a motion on the floor.
Take a roll call vote.
Any other comments?
Councilmember Fullick.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Aye.
Councilmember Bogas.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdon.
Aye.
Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Aye.
Councilmember Corey.
Okay, where are we at here? We got that, now we're down to 12. 12 is mayor and council member items?
No.
No, A.
12
12
deals,
A.
12 deals with the request.
12A, yes, that's Councilman Corey's item. Thank you.
Thank you. The Technology Advisory Board has been working to increase the amount of charging stations available for electric vehicles in the city for some time. The board's been successful in attracting operators to put in charging stations out close to the interstate. And the board believes that it would be good if we could increase the number of charging stations around Riverside Park, or at least close to downtown, as our restaurants and attractions downtown expand. We've certainly got the library there in place as well, that it would be a good location to add some
charging stations. And it could be done by operators in a revenue sharing kind of approach, whereby the city would not incur any cost in terms of the charging stations. We would grant easements for them to be able to put the charging stations in exchange for percent of the revenue and so forth, so that there would be no out-of-pocket costs to the city. So we're just asking, the technology committee is just wanting staff to take a look at a location around downtown, whether it be the bioreactor site or around the banyan tree or wherever around Depot Park, so that people can drive their vehicles down, have a place to be able to charge their vehicles while they're enjoying downtown. So
I got, so who's paying for the charging station?
the operator,
The operator. And who's the operator? Not us.
not us. We're going to solicit operators to come in and put in charging stations.
Okay. Now, this is maybe off the wall, but I have yet to find out how much it costs to charge a vehicle. I've never heard how much it costs
All depends.
the person to charge his vehicle. Now, the government, we are the government, decided, oh, well, they're going to use that. They're not going to use gasoline, so we're going to tax them so we can make up for a little bit of gas tax that we're not getting. I mean, really, it's just really silly. I've got a good friend that his factory makes parts for Tesla. You or I could contact him and see if he's interested in knowing some people that might want to put these somewhere. But we're sacrificing a parking spot, is what you're saying.
No, we're providing a service to those people in our community that drive electric vehicles and allowing them to have a place to charge their vehicle while they're downtown enjoying an event such as Memorial Day. Or
where are they parking? In a city parking spot. Is that right?
In a city's parking, well, it would go onto land that the city owns, and we would grant an easement to allow the charging station to be constructed, yes.
And where's the car going to park?
Right in front of it.
Right in front of the charging station.
Think of the charger as this.
Hey, would you,
Well, you
mind
don't
your own business a minute?
understand.
I'm talking to him, please. Are you you're parking the car in a public parking spot?
Yes.
Not in one of our parks.
Not in one of our, I'm just, somewhere in the downtown area where we've encouraged people to come and enjoy what we're building in downtown to be able to charge their cars.
Well, I don't think it's our responsibility to provide this service.
We're not providing it, we're allowing an operator to put in charging stations, much like the Department of Transportation allows charging stations along the interstate highways. Now, it's as much a function of government to allow people to be able to charge their cars in downtown Bonita as it is for the state of Florida to allow operators to put in charging stations along the interstate highway. So,
and
Which the governor is doing throughout the whole turnpike.
so I'm not quite sure I understand what your issue is.
my issue is that we're giving up a parking spot.
Mr. Mayor.
And you've been informed we're not.
Yeah!
Would you?
Yes. Order. Yes, dear.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Dear, all right.
Yay.
Anything but her.
All right, so I think we can alleviate a couple things. I think what we're saying is there's not going to be expense to us as the city, which is one of your main
I didn't read
things.
that in there, but
So what they'll do is they'll reach out to Tesla and whoever else is building these, they'll put bids together. They will be in a contract with us where we don't pay any money. They'll charge it and they get it. There's a piece for them and they get it. So it would be in like, so say we used Mike's, the bioreactor, for example. So we're already doing things under the ground. Nobody parks there yet. And it's a spot that we could fill up. So when we have a lot of people downtown, they could go there. So if they happen to have an electrical charging car and they get one of those spots, they could charge it. It won't cost us anything. And we're using one spot for multiple purposes. For,
And we're making
for the
that.
water, for parking, and then for charging. And it gives people a place to walk downtown. So I think there's no cost to us. And it's in an area that it's not like it's downtown where there's no parking. We're not saying parking in front of Chartreuse. We're saying parking over off Feltz so that people could potentially, or wherever it is, then they could just walk right in. So it's not like the downtown parking is going to go away. It's in addition to the downtown in an area that is not being utilized. So if that makes it easier.
What I was reading was that we were gonna be the operator.
No.
Nope.
No.
It's clearly stated here that the charge point operator would provide equipment installation service and electricity. We are not the operator, we're.
I thought we were the operators, since it's on our property.
No.
Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out, I think we want to be judicial with how many of these we put in, because normally these charging stations have got a sign on them only for electric cars to park in them. So if we have existing spaces, we're losing them to electric car only. I think it's a good idea, but I think we ought to make sure that we don't go more than we have to at this time. Yeah, but I don't see a problem with it. I think it's a good idea, and it increases, it gives us some revenue too.
Right.
Yes,
I'd say this is something that would probably attract people to our businesses downtown if people knew they could come to a restaurant, have dinner for a couple of hours, and when they left at their own expense, they've charged up their cars. I don't see what the downside of this is. We're providing a service without it costing us or the taxpayers any money. Am I missing something, Chris?
Well, as I read, I thought we were the operator.
No.
It's on our property, so I thought we would be the operator.
So we just need a motion, correct?
Motion to.
We already have a motion, we just need a vote.
No, we don't have a
Oh,
motion.
No,
motion to
I'm making a
approve.
motion.
Motion to direct staff to pursue an EV charging station in the downtown area.
Second.
Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Aye.
Councilmember Bogas. Councilmember Purton.
Aye.
Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Aye.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye?
Councilmember Fullick.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Did you vote against that?
No?
Oh, I thought you said no.
Motion carries.
Motion carried unanimous.
Mayor and council, next item is an additional resolution of necessity for acquisition of property along the Bonita Grand right-of-way that the city has been working on diligently the last few months. This all relates back to the settlement with BG Mine, which they provided us a park and access to the Larry Kiker Preserve. Again, funds have been provided to the city to pay for the acquisition. We tried to acquire all these properties voluntarily. When those properties we cannot, we are moving forward with eminent domain to secure those properties. I want to point out one, you've already approved numerous resolutions, but I want to point out one little issue that came up. Apparently in the survey, if you look on the survey, you'll see that the digital signature may be off and there may be some weird symbols. The electronic PDF that was sent over had some errors in it when I sent it, so the packet file looks corrupted. The legal description in it is correct, and I have sent the clerk a revised attachment so that those little errors will not be there. Otherwise, you'd need a decoder ring to figure out what it says. But I just want to let you know that the one on the file is correct.
So how do we proceed with this then? We
Just
go
need-
right to court?
It's going to go to court? Yes. So once this resolution is filed, we will proceed in the courts. And that may only be the initial step. There may be a resolution out of court, but to keep the process moving along, where I am asking for an approval.
And you made a motion, you made a bid, you made an offer for this property, and they reached,
We have reached out to everyone based on the appraised values we got back, yes.
Motion to approve?
Second?
any other comments?
Councilmember Bogas.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdon.
Aye.
Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Aye.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye.
Councilmember Follick.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Aye.
Motion carries.
City attorney, we just did that one. City manager's presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At this time, I would like our finance director to come forward for our March financial report.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Lisa.
Today, we have some exciting news. Our state, and it is exciting, our state economists do such a great job, in helping us with all of our different industries that provide, for our public, as well as provide revenue streams for us. We just held a revenue estimating conference that was at the state level, and this one focuses on communication services tax. I found it so interesting when we're reading. There's all these different components of that industry that move so radically, and you'll find that some of the facts that they noted and trends that they being the state were seeing in their data collection, you actually experience every day, and that does affect our revenue. So they need to study that and to be able to predict the industry and give us really sound projections for our revenue, both at the state level and locally. So the communication services tax, wanted to review quickly that it applies to telecommunications, video, direct home satellite, and related services. And there are two components of the communication services tax, and because they'll behave a little differently. So there's Florida communication services tax, which is statewide, and then there's also local communication services tax, which we have here in our area, and so does every other entity in Florida. Florida communication services taxes, they're collected on cable, wireless, landline, direct-to-home satellite, streaming, and other various miscellaneous services. But our local communication services tax, which impacts us the most, the other impacts us as well some, but the local one is on cable, wireless, landline, and again, some other miscellaneous services. So they do behave a little differently. For cable services, this one, of course, we probably have all experienced. Historically, cable had been a positive driver for communication services tax. That meant it always had a positive movement. It could be counted on to be a lot of the market share. However, in the last 5 consecutive years, which is really important, it's had a negative growth rate. And the latest cable forecast has a stronger decline than previously forecast. And the longer-term forecast for that has flipped from a slow growth to a slow decline. And again, given all that we know about the change in how we view things at home and how we use our media, how we watch things, this is not a shock, but again, it's put into the estimates so that they can combine it all and come up with some projections for us. Streaming services. Streaming entertainment options are significant. They're a significant positive driver, as we all know. We all love those. Well, the streaming services have provided 7 years of double-digit growth due to the new market competitors coming online and the continued content expansion. For the current year, streaming services growth rate is lower than previously estimated, but it's still, I love that term, robust. That's the term they use. It's still 17% this year. The growth for that is projected to slow as part of the function of the market. They called it a rapid growth phase of that industry is going to subside a little bit. However, for the 10-year forecast, they're still projecting it to grow, and it's decline here, and that's only decline because the previous growth was so high. So they still think it's going to grow 9% to just under 3% over the next 10 years. And of course, with all this data, it's a snapshot in time, but they revisit all of our different revenue streams every year. So they watch these market conditions and adjust as needed. So next year we're talking about this. Something else may be emerging that we've never even thought of. Someone's thought of it somewhere. We just won't be impacted by it until it hits our radar. Wireless services. Collections for the wireless category have been declining, in large part due to the unbundling of communications services tax on your cell phone plan. I found that fascinating. The current year, so we take that fact and then we contrast it to the fact that the current year just showed unexpected growth in wireless service. I think that's a lot to do with our new residents than we see in the state. That should drive that a pretty good bit. But then the forecast for wireless continues to have positive growth for the next 2 years, and then they think it will resume a steady decline, again, because these services are being filled in other areas, not just wireless. Landline services. As we probably all know, these have been declining due to outdated technology in the landlines that were primarily associated with smaller businesses. They're going to other types of services. The annual decline has been double digits, which began 6 years ago and continued through the current year. The downward spiral, they call it, is expected to continue, but they think it'll decrease a little bit, and that's the rate of decline will decrease. So they do feel that there will be some segments of business that continue to stay on the landline services. So all that being said, these are the projections that they're giving for over the next 10 years for the communication services tax. The state, the growth rate ranges from 3.9 to 1.8 over the next 10 years. That's still growth. That's still good. Local government services taxes expected to have a more moderate growth over the next 10 years due to the reduction in the wireless services. But again, they think even our local communications services tax will have positive growth rates, which is a good thing in such a dynamic industry. So now we'll go to our trends that we watch for our expenditures and our revenues. I apologize, this is a tad bit small. But this is a pie chart. This is our general fund revenue. This is our regular recurring revenue. And this gives us an idea of the composition of the revenues that we count on our day-to-day operations. This is 6 months into the year. So as you'll recall, in the beginning of our fiscal year, we get a lot of our real estate taxes at the beginning of the year. So it makes up more of the pie. But then as we move forward throughout the year, the remainder of our revenues are collected mostly monthly, so that kind of that portion of it shrinks a little bit, which is a nice, healthy way that every other entity, such as ourselves, functions. General fund revenue. What we try to do, again, regular recurring revenue, what we do is give you current fiscal year to date and compare it to the prior fiscal year to date. A lot of our revenue streams have some seasonality in them. Gas tax, other things of that nature. Certain months of the year, they'll behave significantly differently than others, and it's electrical as well. So, but as you can see, fairly consistent with a few changes, but again, just healthy comparisons, I think, from a financial standpoint. General fund expenditures. These are typically our regular recurring operating expenditures. We've planned for and we continue to see increases in operating costs, and it goes to capital as well, but here this slide is reviewing our regular recurring operating. So not something we haven't anticipated. The whole state is feeling it, the nation as well. We'll be watching those, hoping some of that ease as we move through, but we'll be preparing for that in your next budget. Restricted revenues. These are revenues that are adopted and restricted as to use. The first item there is the building permit fees. They have taken a little bit of a positive turn, but some of what we're seeing locally and what the state economists are telling us this is an area they don't expect to have a significant turnaround in the near term. That is from new homes and new building construction. New construction is what that's for. And we have on this slide also, we have our park and our road impact fees. Those are driven by new construction as well. So we can see A couple months ago, our road impact fees were significantly behind where we were. We've had some permits pulled, and some things go into start with new construction. As you can see, it's ending up 6 months in. It's pretty consistent with where we were last year. Again, these are very difficult to predict, but we do watch them for their economic indicators. Everything else here fairly consistent, which is, again, very positive. Our cash balances. We like to present to you a snapshot in time of our cash balances by category for where we are right now, 6 months into our fiscal year, and for fiscal year to date for the two immediately preceding fiscal years, to give you a trend. As we talk about regularly, we attempt to accumulate funds to pay for our capital projects so we can pay as you go as opposed to borrowing. So what we do here is we show the accumulation of the funds, and when you do see the various levels drop, that's usually they're being utilized for the capital projects that they were planned and allocated for in your budget, in your capital improvement program, which is a 10-year program. And this is a slide that again continues to outline. We do try to put our cash balances into use functionalities. You can see here we've got our park impact fees. Those are for new acquisitions, our new aspects of our park net infrastructure, as well as the other items listed there. And that is all that I have today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And Lisa, we've just begun our process internally that we do basically all year round, but we're doing individual meetings where we are updating our requests for the capital improvement plan. We'll be looking forward to scheduling a workshop with you all on those requests. Additionally, I've been working with the city clerk to reach out to you to set the budget hearing dates. As soon as we get some more information, as you know, we're required to hold our dates not in any conflict of other jurisdictions, and so we're waiting on those dates, and then we'll be reaching out to schedule those hearing dates, which we will do separate of a council meeting unless it makes sense to combine.
Yes, they should start. We anticipate, and again, we're on a timeline set in the Florida statute, so everyone has to follow that as well. So we should start sometime June, July, and then we will continue through our budget adoption process until near the end of September. But we will have to pick very specific dates, and there will be drivers behind that, and there are limitations on when we can have meetings and when we can't, as outlined in Florida law. But we'll take care of the analysis, and we'll give you all some options. Thank you very much.
Before, you're going to do Ian, hurricane.
Yes.
Could you explain the emergency, local emergency that I keep signing every week, and
Yes.
how that impacts the city, please?
Yes, so we have continued in the consent agenda item to carry the state of local emergency for the city. Many of our counterparts are still doing that as well. It is so that we can capture any opportunity for both our residents and or the city to be able to achieve any ability of funding available to them, any programs available to them. We still have folks working through their permitting process as well. So keeping that state of emergency, we know many people are still in a process of coming back, and so keeping that in the consent agenda allows that should any of those opportunities happen, we're covered during that period. And that is confirmed in your consent agenda each meeting, but in the in-between weeks, the mayor has the authority to sign that, so we have a continuous flow of the state of emergency for those opportunities.
Okay.
Continuing with the Hurricane Ian recovery update, I wanted to advise you all that we are continuing to have several meetings a week with FEMA. We actually have one scheduled with the field staff today at 1:30. We've continued to have outreach with Senator Scott's office, Representative Darren Donald's office, as well as I have a call in from Marco Rubio's office as well, asking for the status. We've had direct communication with Region 4 Director on receiving a midterm report. We understand that's supposed to be updated before we receive that as well. Once we have that report, we will share that with our council and have a better understanding of where we are in this process. We have submitted documentation on all 106. By the end of April, we did that. But now we're in the process of some resubmittals and some confirming some information. There's also some additional requests for all permits that have been issued in the special flood height hazard. We're working on the categories of those permits. We believe that's over 12,000 permits within the documented time period. So we'll be working with FEMA on exactly which of those they want to review. And then we're continuing to work on our narrative that tells the full story of the city and our commitment to providing a safe community that makes stormwater and water quality our #1 strategic priority. So we'll be able to recognize all the grant programs we've worked on, the actual demolitions that you have authorized in the special flood high hazard to date, and the continuing applications we have from both Hurricane Irma and Ian for house elevations and/or home buyout programs. That will be all part of our narrative that we'll be working on to submit to the date. I did want to give you all a brief update as well on the Rails to Trails program. We have heard from the Trust for Public Lands that Lee County has agreed to be the lead applicant for the ATIIP program. It's a federal transportation program. At this time, they are going to be pursuing a $20 million grant, or $12 million grant with a 20% match. That's $2.4 million. We still have an additional meeting date, the first meeting in June, which there will be an official ask from the city for a match. I have confirmed Estero will be looking at providing a match. I am not aware of the dollar amount of that yet to be confirmed. And this would be the appropriate time if there's any outreach to the other jurisdictions to see their willingness, such as the MPO, to participate in a match as well. But yes.
With that said, the initial thing that I heard was Bonita and Estero were going to do it. So I think it's important that I would agree up to a quarter of the cost, because I believe that all 4 municipalities who are involved, 2 of them are counties who have significantly larger checkbooks than us, should be splitting the bill appropriately. So it should be a 4-way split between Lee County, Collier County, Estero, and Bonita. It shouldn't be Estero and Bonita splitting it in 2. It should be a 4-way split, because the counties benefit as well.
Yeah, at the Lee MPO meeting Friday, there'll be a motion made it's going to put burden all priority categories that it could be in. So that all blends in with what we're talking about.
Because then we're eligible to get money from.
What I wanted to make clear today is I was not going, there was an understanding of asking about where we would be on the match. I just wanted to introduce the item today. I don't have official request or a dollar amount that we're going to recommend at this point. We wanted some feedback from you all. And also, as individual members of council, however you feel appropriate for outreach to any other entities, you would like to confirm their financial commitment as well. I do not know positively that it's that's a 1.2% match from 1 million or so from Estero. I don't have that confirmed yet. I do know there'll be participation from Estero.
When you're having the conversations, can you let them know that if you guys agree, it should be a quarter match per municipality? Because we were the first to put any money up, and Estero just joined us, which I appreciate, but at the same time, the counties both have a stake in this, so they should also be putting money into it. It shouldn't be just the cities. They have larger pocketbooks, and they're directly benefiting, so I think it should be a quarter split.
Mayor, I was going to say, do we know if anybody has actually had one-on-one conversations with Collier County? Because the benefit to North Naples to them is substantial.
So I do understand that the Trust for Public Lands has had some outreach with their transportation director, but that does not prevent the council, if you have connections with county commissioners, individual conversations is appropriate. And actually, they're not part of your MPO, so that wouldn't be a joint voting matter. But also, I am not aware of the actual ask to the Lee County Commissioners on where they will be as well.
And the reason I want to say that is because it's convoluted, because it's actually the Lee County MPO and Lee County. Two different checkbooks, two different entities. Just like BSU is a different checkbook and different entity, same situation here. So because it's the MPO and maybe the MPO doesn't have money for it, I don't care, fine, the county then. Or vice versa. But either way, one of the two Lee County entities should be putting in a check for the same size that we do and that Estero does and that Collier should too.
And to clarify, I did get confirmation from the county manager. They did agree to be the lead applicant for the application. So that is something they've agreed to, and they are cost sharing in the application process. The original ask was that we hire a consulting firm because you were required with this program to have a consultant. They are participating in that cost share, which is approximately $32,000 split. Among, as of right now, Bonita, Estero, and Lee County. I'm not clear if MPO is involved with that, but I have not heard confirmation that Collier County is included in that.
Okay, so in our communications with Collier County, can we make it clear that that would be the expectation, that everybody would be doing that?
Since the advocates here are the Trust for Public Lands, we'll relay that to the Trust for Public Lands, and they can do their outreach based on that.
Because I mean, it's people are like, oh, it's only $1 million, but the point is we're at the infancy. And we put up $5 million to start, so we don't want to set the precedent that we want this so bad we're going to pay way more than everybody else, especially if they have bigger wallets. So just starting out the right way and keeping it on the right track, no pun intended, I think is important.
I think I have enough direction, and then any official requests we would prepare as an agenda item for official vote, which would be the next meeting. I did forward an email from Representative Adamotena. We now have a formal request on House letterhead for interlocal use of the Recreation Center on June 26th at 5:30 p.m. for a public workshop. We would work out the logistics on that as far as any equipment needed, and we would just need the direction of council that you were comfortable with moving forward with that.
Sounds good to me.
Single district.
You have anything, Nigel?
No, the other item I wanted to bring up is July 4th this year is on a Thursday. July 3rd would be your meeting. We've had a lot of discussion in-house about prep for the event. At this time, if you would consider canceling the July 4th meeting, if we have pertinent business or we need an item to be scheduled to the next week, we would move the meeting to next week so that we can fully prepare for the event. And then we also have some folks who've been looking for some vacation time too during that week period, and others, you all might be traveling as well, I'm not sure, but I wanted to put that as an option for the July 4th, or you might be traveling, so.
It sounds like a good idea.
Reasonable.
We would ask you ahead of time if there was a pending issue that we needed to reschedule.
Let's skip it.
Nigel, did you have a question?
No, I thought you were asking about council comments, so.
I've got comments.
Okay, we ready for comments, public report?
Yeah, I do.
We got public,
I do.
wait a minute here. Who's next here?
Mayor?
I got,
Mayor and council reports, right?
yeah.
Okay, I asked if we could, I thought maybe the people would want to know what we do in this city, besides sit up here and I came up with a short list of things that have been done probably in the last 6 months or so in the city. Have an operating contract with the Wonder Gardens. The Lemon Tree parking lot is open. Thank you, Rooftop, because they paid for that. It's open to the public. Rooftop of Riverside is open. Skate Park is open and new. Baseball fields are open and new. We have a pocket park at City Hall, opened and new. ADA improvements at City Hall. Forster Drive drainage is being done. Repair to Melody Lane is done. Beach Park North repaired and opened. Beach Park, Bay Park North is open and is repaired and open. Splash Park at the Banyan Tree is being designed. Voluntary elevation of homes is being done. Voluntary purchase of flood-prone housing is being done. One-day trash recycle pickup is new and being started. Celebrate Bonita was great. Holiday in the Park was fantastic. Movies in the park. Damaged traffic lights and traffic signals, traffic signs repaired and replaced. Lightner Creek cleaned. Community development, permitting and inspections being done. Code enforcement, removing illegal signs. Rosemary Park Drive is being designed. Work on the swimming pool. Lightner Creek Soccer Park is being designed. Splash Park and Banyan Tree Park is being designed. Partnership, the YMCA for summer camp is on. Old Recreation Center bid and redo to be redone. It's old and needs a lot of work. Nourishing south end of Bonita Beach is scheduled for November. New generator at City Hall. The rebuilt generator is at the Recreation Center. Repair and surfacing of the parking at City Hall. Goodwin Street being designed. Repaired arts cottages are open. 4th of July and parade is coming up. Veterans Day is more parking at the Banyan Tree. Library combination is done. That was over $1 million. Cleaned Lightner Creek, I said that before. We've been cleaning the swales and ditches, fixed potholes on Hickory Boulevard, and that's my short list. So, thank you, Bonita. Fred?
Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 things. First thing I want to do is make a motion to approve as read the resolution of supporting Israel.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Purdon. Aye. Councilmember Carr.
Aye.
Mayor Steinmeier.
Aye.
Councilmember Corey.
Aye.
Councilmember Fullick.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Forbes.
Aye.
Councilmember Bogas. The motion carries.
That's number one. The other thing is May is ALS Awareness Month. And ALS, if those that don't remember, I'm old enough to remember, that's Lou Gehrig disease, and it's a terrible disease. There's a whole crop of them that, even though we've made major medical progress in cancer treatment and other things, we're not doing too well in these areas. Let's see, I think I had one more thing here.
Is there a motion there, or just you want to point out?
Yeah, also, I brought up the fact that Lee MPO will be voting on Bert this Friday, so.
Okay, Jamie, how are things in the fire station? We were all there last night.
Yes, on Monday night, they held their meeting, and they did appoint a new commissioner. Her name is Stephanie Kellinger. So she's the new commissioner, and they did award the Phoenix Award to a crew. And a Phoenix Award is given out to a crew that has arrived on the scene and the patient is in cardiac arrest and has brought them back. And this crew actually saved the person twice within a 6-month period of time. And the fire department wanted to stress the importance of bystander CPR and for everyone to learn that. As the first time this person went into cardiac arrest, a sheriff actually started CPR prior to the crew arriving on scene. And then the second time, his wife actually started CPR prior to the crew arriving. So without that CPR started initially, you know, not sure what the outcome could be. So that was awarded. There was also an award of a firefighter promoted to lieutenant, a new fire inspector, and then also a 30-year pen given out at the,
Yeah, your husband got 30 years of award.
yes, it was,
Yeah, I've only known him for 40, but anyways, I talked him into becoming a fireman. But anyways, Jesse, you got a report for us? Are you done? I'm sorry,
well,
David.
they do have a scheduled beginning closing date on the property on Hickory Boulevard, and that's scheduled for the 17th of this month.
Very good.
That's it for me.
Jesse?
Oh, yeah, two quick things. Number one, I wanted to give a shout out to John Jenkins for his long service to Bonita Springs. As some of you saw, he's finally retiring from BSU and going to enjoy retirement life. He's been with us for a very long time, so I just wanted to thank him publicly for his service to the city. And then last but not least, I'm always shouting out LCSO, but they need it for this one, and actually Cafe of Life as well. So some of you may have noticed there's a couple spots in my district, specifically the 7-Elevens, where you get a lot of day workers in the mornings, right? There's been a concentrated effort to work on that, and it was, you know, it's been done also. I went down and I met with Sheriff's Department and Cafe of Life yesterday. Cafe of Life's folks actually went out with LCSO this morning and were helping to, you know, make it community policing, explaining in Spanish what the deal was and explaining, you know, you can't leave your bikes here, you can't solicit work here. And I got pictures from the 7-Eleven this morning at 5 o'clock, pretty much empty. So, I mean, it's only one day, but it's a process. And this is a very good example of, you know, community policing, where you have nonprofits and you have LCSO working hand in hand to make our community better. And, you know, we're spending all this money in the downtown to make it nice. You need to be able to go a block away without being nervous about getting out of the car because you have 70 people standing around. So it's a very necessary action, and very good job so far for LCSO, Cafe of Life, and I wanted to just thank them for that, and that's all I've got.
Thank you. How about you? Are you ready to go?
Sure. Let's see. I attended the Edison Awards. It was great, very interesting, innovative objects and designs. Best thing though, Ben Allen's band played, and they'll also be playing for us on the 4th. Amazon is opening another facility here in Lee County. It'll be their 3rd, and they're actually looking for a 4th location. IKEA is also looking for a location to open a facility. We have Memorial Day services coming up on the 27th. And too bad Commissioner Sandelli left, but he did point out that there is a concerted effort by several to reorganize the structure of county government and significantly take away home rule. So that's a little concerning. And I went to yesterday the Fallen Deputies Memorial Service. It was very touching and moving. And in front of me sat this cutest little girl, and she couldn't have been more than 4. And her dad was Sergeant Diaz, and he died in 21, so she was a baby. But his picture must be everywhere, because when his picture showed up on the screen, "Oh, Daddy! I see Daddy!" And I was like, oh, it was so sad. But she, you know, was just, he's in her heart and in her memory, so that's wonderful. And again, don't forget Memorial Day, 9 o'clock, Riverside Park.
Okay, Nigel, how about add to this?
Yes, sir. Try and make this brief. First of all, FEMA, our meetings, our conversations, again, hats off to our staff, to Arlene and the staff for the way they were conducting themselves. Not everybody is choosing to take the path that we have, but I would say that the tone of the meetings and the conversations have been pretty positive, and that's to our benefit. I would encourage, I don't need to encourage staff to conduct themselves that way throughout, but it seems like FEMA is coming around a little bit. They certainly seem to be more amenable, And I applaud Senator Scott specifically for not so much calling them out this week, but reminded them that all the deadlines that they've set, there's been a couple that they've missed. And so he reminded them that we want the information that we need to make the decisions, and excuse me, you're forgiven this time. But again, as your representative to those meetings or for this, I'm much more encouraged this week than I've been in a while. So hopefully for our taxpayers, this thing's going to come to a good resolution. Lisa's still here. Yes, she is. Lisa and I in numbers, right? Tourism dollars in 2023, they were not what they were hopefully projecting. That's the bad news. The good news is year over year, first 4 months of this year, tourism dollars seem to be coming back. Our meeting this past week, the biggest takeaway I had was that, and I apologize, this is National Travel and Tourism Week in Lee County, so May 19th to the 25th, and they're doing some light up Lee programs. I know one of them is going to be the control tower at RSW. They're turning it blue. So if you see blue lights in a building, that's part of that. Hopefully we'll be a little bit more prepared next year and participate in things like that. But as far as tax dollars, the visitor spend in Lee County, not in Florida, saved our local residents $1,004 per household in state and local taxes. Real dollars that TDC money that comes out to us means that our taxpayers didn't have to spend. So that's a good thing. Memorial Day. The response has been great. The Veterans Committee, I want to thank them. Bobby Hunter, our chairman, and the whole group has been phenomenal to work with. Lieutenant General Elder, Bob Elder, our 3-star general from the United States Air Force, will be our guest speaker. There's more interest, so I'm looking for a big turnout. Bonita Springs Fire Department, their honor guard, is going to be doing our salute, and that's it.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I attended the board meeting for May for the Wonder Gardens. They're going through their budget with a fine-tooth comb. There were some recommendations made by the board to Neil about some changes in the budget. It's going to be voted on at the June meeting and should be finalized at that point. I suggested that they come up with a 10-year capital improvement plan to match the lease and to also match what the city does in terms of planning out capital expenditures. They agreed to do that. So I think you heard some of that this morning. A lot of that's going to be impacted by the timing of donor gifts, but at least they're starting on that whole process. I'd also like to mention to everyone that you may see the flags lowered to half-staff today. This is Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week. It's an observance to recognize those police officers who have been killed in the line of duty or have been disabled in the line of duty. It's celebrated every year on May 15th. The governor has ordered the flags flown at half-staff today. So for those of you may be wondering why they're at half-staff, it's to honor our fallen and our disabled peace officers. So I wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
I was also going to ask John Delmer to talk a little bit about accessory dwelling units, but I think we'll move that off to the next meeting and actually have a request that John have it as part of our agenda, if that would be all right. So that's all I have.
Okay, public comment. That's it?
Oh,
here we go. Hey, Kyle. Hey, that Lemon Tree lot looks nice. Did you do anything with that?
I think a lot of downtown is looking great, and I really wanted to thank you. It's clear from your update, again, Kyle Moran. I first moved to Bonita Springs in 1993. I'm on Phelps Avenue. I'm in the downtown most every day and see the great progress that's been achieved by this board and some incredible staff. Huge thanks to Ms. Hunter and Mr. Feeney and all of those that work with and for them. Your update made it very clear what great progress that we've had here. Bonita is a growing and dynamic community. Thanks to Councilman Perdone for his great work in pushing the downtown forward on the issue that he brought up today. It's been a big priority for everyone. And thanks to Councilman Corey, too, for introducing the proposal on EV chargers. Bonita is a growing and dynamic city. Growing and dynamic cities think ahead and think about things like EV charging. And this, of course, is best, these goals are clearest in our downtown. The idea that we're building a better community for all Beniceans, we're broadening our tax base, we're bringing jobs that have been transferred into Naples and business has been transferred to Naples and other parts of our community back into our community and will be much stronger for it. And the taxpayers absorbed a lot of costs to do this. They've acquired a lot of land in that downtown. They built a library, they built parks, they built a ton of public parking, stormwater management. We've talked about increasing code enforcement, as Councilman Perdone mentioned today, roadway improvements, beautification and landscaping, a new form-based code, and we're starting to see some really exciting response. We're seeing revitalization of all types of businesses down there. We're seeing, these great events right in the heart of the city. It gets those goals of building a better community and a broader tax base. We're even seeing, although I think it's misunderstood all the time, we're seeing denser apartments down there. And the reality is the days are gone that every few hundred families that move to Bonita Springs move to a gated community out east. In 1993, my family and I moved to Worthington, which was brand new on the other side of 75. There were tomato fields further east of us. They're all communities. We've run out of that land. We now need to get to a point where we're addressing a housing crisis, where we're giving better housing units that are more affordable for people. When you build in denser areas, it's better for the environment and actually reduces traffic because people can walk to a downtown rather than being trapped in a gated community. So these are really positive things that are happening in that downtown. We should all be very excited about it. And I think when it comes to those EV charging stations, as you know, there's a broad planning underway within the city, from the Banyan Tree Park to re-envisioning the other parks down there. Please encourage staff to keep that as part of the bigger planning. One of the dangers of granting easements is that it can handcuff, future development. I'm sure that it's in your thinking, Councilman Corian, and the thinking of the technology boards whose proposal you brought forth today, to make sure that this is part of that broader plan, the broader plan of thinking, oh, in the future we may need multi-level parking on that public parcel, or we have these plans for those parks and things. So please, as you always do, keep it as part of your big plan, because we're pursuing, these wonderful goals. And that rail trail conversion will be so great for this whole area. It'll be really great for our downtown. And I think, as the organizers have called it, BERT, Bonita Estero, that undersells the benefits. This is really connecting the entirety of Southwest Florida. If you look to the north and to the south, there are existing rights of way. So calling it Bonita Estero is really missing the point. This is about connecting our broader community. And thanks again for your hard works. Thanks.
Thank you, Kyle. Any more public comment? Ben, you got anything? Nothing? I guess call it quits. We're adjourned.